Yes, what's happening, everybody? I love Ask Weezy. It's my favorite show of the week. It's the only show that I get to do zero preparation for. I just finished choking down some dinner, and it wasn't choking it down. It was an amazing dinner, and I just wiped all the gravy off my face. I came running in here. I hit go live, and here I am. I'm ready to go. I've got all the tools ready. It's all already on my computer. The database, the matchups, the prop template, the knowledge that's right up here in me skull. It's ready to go for Ask Weezy. You guys, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate all of you. UFC Vegas 63, headlined by Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher, going up against Almighty Arnold Allen at 18-1, undefeated at 9-0 in the UFC. So really looking forward to that main event. We got some interesting fights on this card. We got some interesting fighters, and I can't wait to break it down with you guys. Let's see what's going on in the chat right now as we get into it tonight. And let me just get this little banner up here to remind you guys that you can always join the Patreon. We got a great community going on over there. And my guy, Mushroom, is the first one in the room saying, "Oh, yes, let's stack him higher than Willie Nelson." He made Snoop Dogg tap. Holy shit, did he make Snoop Dogg tap? Because back when I was in college, it was Snoop that was like the uncrowned king of chronic smoking. And, I know Willie Nelson, obviously one of the old OGs. The dude is a legend. But if he made Snoop tap, much respect to Willie Nelson. We got my guys. Bob Spikerman's hanging out. What's going on, my man? I appreciate you. We got Prince of Mischief up in the room saying, "What's up, Weezy? Any plans for Halloween, either content related or personal? Also, what's your favorite scary movie and franchise?" Oh, wow. So no plans for Halloween yet. I mean, I'm always just kind of grinding out the content every damn week. So yeah, there's nothing going on that I know of for Halloween, but I'll be here doing, Stat Diggers on Sunday. I'll be doing Probability on Monday. I'll be doing Just the Tip on Tuesday. I'll be doing the DFS show and Ask Weezy on Wednesday. And next week's card, I guess it's kind of apropos that it's Halloween week because it scares the shit out of me. As a gambler, as a content creator, here, let me share my screen with you guys so you don't have to look at my face this big right now. Or did I not? Oh, wow, I didn't even share my screen. So let me get that up. Let me do this for just a sec here. All right, and there we go. Okay, so we've got the Tapology card up here right now for this week, but if we go to the Fight Center and then we click on UFC, this will be better than any scary movie you've ever watched. The main event is Rodriguez versus Lemos. The co-main is Neil Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez. Great fight. The third fight, the 11th fight of the night, is Josh Parisian featuring his spinning fat kick going up against the inimitable Chase Sherman with a 4-8 record at the UFC level. Only got another contract because he agreed to take an ass shaving at the hands of Alexander Romanov. After that, we have Tagir Ulanbekov against Nate Maness. Then we have Mark Madsen versus Grant Dawson. I'm looking forward to that fight quite a bit. Jailton Almeida versus Maxim Grishin. Poor Maxim Grishin. Then we have Derek Minner versus Shah-Yolan Nurdembeka. We've got Miranda Maverick against Shanna Young. Mario Batista against Benito Lopez, and we haven't seen Benito Lopez since Vince Morales fight 2019. Over 3 years and 3 months since we've seen Benito Lopez. And he hasn't even had a fight scheduled in that time. So I don't know what's going on with Benito. Obviously, some really bad injuries if it's kept him out for that long. But wow. So yeah, that's a fight. And then we have Paulian Viana versus Jinyu Fry. Johnny Munoz versus Ludovic Shalinian. Jake Hadley versus Carlos Candelario, and then Ramona Pascual against Tamiris Vidal. God damn it. Ads popping up on my screen. You want to talk about handsome. Give it up for Tamiris Vidal. Trattora going up against the handsome Ramona Pascual at 135 pounds. Let me be the first to break this to you that Ramona Pascual will not be making 135 pounds, and this fight will be moved up to 145 because there isn't a chance of that happening. Ramona making 135. So, yeah, that should scare the shit out of you. My favorite scary movie of all time would probably have to, I'm going to have to go old school on y'all and just go with the original Omen with Gregory Peck. I talk a lot about Magomed Mustafayev's terrifying haircut. That haircut was originated by Damien from The Omen. So that would be a very, very good movie to check out if you want to see old school, well-written, well-acted horror at its best. As far as a new school horror movie, I don't know. That's a good question, man. I do watch quite a few. I guess I didn't mind like the ones with Vera Farmiga, the Conjuring ones. They were all right. But yeah, horror movies like they are a genre I watch quite a bit. But like the one that just really sticks out in my mind is the Omen. That is an incredible horror movie. We got Daz Files in the room. We have bagged up 70 bags of lollies for Halloween, and scariest movie would be original Suspira. Has a good soundtrack that I'll be playing to scare the kids on the front porch. Suspira. All right. Suspira. Okay, I'm going to have to check that one out. I think I've seen that on my girlfriend's queue on her Netflix. I'm going to have to check that one out. And then Vic DeJesus is in the room saying, oh, yes. What's up, Weezy and chat? Let's make the best out of this card. It's not a great card, and Victor is doing what we should all do on cards like this unless we have strong leans from our research that stick out to us, keeping it nice and light. The bookies have to make lines for these fights. We don't have to bet them. So let's pick out the best spots, nail them, and then move on to next week. And then next week we can, I don't know, man. Who you on? Ramona Pascual or Tamiris Vidal? Who you on? Ludovic Shalinian or Johnny Munoz Jr.? I mean, Shanna Young against Miranda Maverick, Shayalan Nurdenbecka with his 48th professional fight, 37-10. What is up with these dudes? How do you have 30 fucking 7 wins in your 20s? That doesn't make a lick of sense. Are you fighting in people's backyards for a sandwich? I don't get it, man. Jenna Marie in the house saying, oi, Weezy, what's up, Jenna? Good to see you hanging out. We got Addicted to Combat saying, what's up, Weezy in chat? Long time no see. My man is hanging out here for Ask Weezy. Just had my guy Burt MMA on his channel. If you haven't went over there and subscribed over to my man Patrick at Addicted to Combat, go over there and do that. Show him some love. He's really provided some great content for the community. Lou Betya in the room, the inimitable Lou Betya from the MMA Engine saying, Weezy, other than heavyweight, what division allows long losing streaks runs the most? Vandera may have a job for life at this point. Yeah, see, look, it's the lowest. Here, let's have some fun, you guys. Let me show you my UFC database, and I don't have it up, but we'll go right here. I'm starting the stats for my Patreon members. I only have Rodriguez Lemos done, but I will be finishing that up for you guys tonight. And if we go the 2021 UFC database, and we're just going to go to that heavyweight division, and I will list off the names, and you are not going to see lower level names on that list anywhere in any other division. And let's start from the bottom with some of these new names. Lucas Brzeski, ass. Zach Pauga, ass. Muhammad Usman at least beat Zach Pauga. Hamdi Abdelwahab, at least he beat Dante Mays, right? But he's 1-0. Jailton Almeida is obviously a stud. He's a natural 205er. Lugoy Ivanov, you can stab the man in the heart and he'll still live. So at least he's durable. Martin Budai, ass. William Knight, ass. Fat John Vellante, ass. Sergey Pavlovich, stud. Parker Porter. Ovin St. Preux actually had a couple of fights at heavyweight. The very handsome Shamil Abdurrahimov, Rodrigo Nascimento, Alan Badeau, Greg Hardy, Roque Martinez, handsome. Josh Parisian, originator of the spinning fat kick, Ilir Latifi, Tanner Boser, Marcin Tybura, Walt Harris, Augusto Sakai, Fat Collier, Fat Barnett, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Maurice Green, gone. Juan Espino fights once every 5 years. We'll see him in 2027 at the age of 49. Romanov, stud. Chase Sherman, ass. Da Un Jung, what is he doing in my heavyweights? He's not a heavyweight. Georges Danho, ass. Jorgen de Astro, ass. Francis Ngannou, really good. Stipe Miocic, really good. Harry Hunsucker. Are you seeing a trend of ass fighters, Lou Bet, my man? I mean, it doesn't get any worse in any other division. We would have to go to the women's divisions, and I can take you to my women's 145, and we can see some ass. Well, not Chelsea Chandler. She's tough, but Danielle Wolf, terrible. Aylin Perez, terrible. Macy Chason, Justin Bieber, you're not fooling anybody. Ramona Pasquale, Josiane Nunez, Joe Benavidez, you are not fooling anybody. Leah Letzen, Holly Holm, 135er. Aspen Ladd, Fatty Sugar Patty. And then we got Amanda Nunez, who's really good. Felisa Spencer, retired. Norma Dumont, okay, nice. And then we got Megan Anderson. But yeah, I mean, there's no other division that will allow you to put on terrible performance after terrible performance after terrible performance and continue to fight than the UFC heavyweight division. Big shout out to my guy, Lou Bet. Yeah, we got my guy, the General Alex Ramirez, taking notes in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, dude?" And then we got Prince of Mischief saying that Daz Files. I've never heard of Suspira. I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I mean, I know my girlfriend has heard of that one. I'm going to have to check that out. JSJ23 saying, "Oi, does Vandera win, earn him a shiny new 4-fight contract? Hope you're breaking down his fights for years to come." I'll tell you, man. I mean, he's a fun guy to talk about. He's an interesting, unique dude. He's got a pretty long resume at heavyweight, which we don't really see a lot. Because I do talk a lot of shit about Jared Vandera. I mean, a ton of shit, right? But like, you see the 12-9 record. That's 21 professional fights, 198 minutes in the pro cage. 69 minutes in the UFC cage. He's been around, dude. He's got more wins than he's got losses. He's a tough dude. He's got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He just makes terrible decisions in the cage, and that's such a big part of what us as gamblers, we cannot ever tolerate somebody making dumbass decisions in the cage because they're playing with our money. And it's kind of like a Big Worm talking to Smokey and Friday saying, you're playing with my emotions, Smokey. And when you go into cages, like for instance, when I bet on Corey McKenna against Elise Reed, and she went out there and decided to have a striking match, this was like Smokey playing with Big Perm's emotions. And it's something I don't like having my emotions played with. So I don't want to be betting on fighters that are going to go in there and do stupid things like shoot 0 takedowns against Chase Sherman, for instance, and then lose the fight on top of that as a huge favorite after we've seen Chase like lose to guys that aren't great, So, yeah, I mean, I kind of hope that I am breaking down Jared Vandera fights for a while to come because I'm cashing bets after bets after bets, betting against this guy and his horrible fight IQ and his, marginal skill set at this division. But there's a bunch of guys. We could put him in there against Dante O'Mays. We could put him in there against Justin Tafa again, against Carlos Felipe again, against Chase Sherman, against George's Danho, against Harry Hunsucker, against any of these bums, Alan Badeau. I mean, we could put him in there against any of those guys, and he could get wins. So, hopefully we get to see Jared some more. And then like Vic said at Lou Bet, your middleweights, I think. Didn't Sam Alvey go on a 36-fight losing streak before getting cut? He may be an outlier, and it was 37. Thank you, Lou. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say to Vic, it was a 37-fight losing streak that Sam went on, but who's counting? We're here to support guys like Sam. He's a veteran of the sport. Another guy with like 50 professional fights who's been around, since the early days, since the days when, you could go to camps and train with guys like Jared Vanderaa and actually get wins at this level, because you only had to be good at a couple of different things. Like Sam was just a great counterpuncher with great takedown defense who could just keep the fight standing, wait for you to make a mistake and land a big shot. And that was good enough to keep Sam Alvey around for a very long time. And he made a decent amount of money doing it, lost probably a lot of brain cells doing it, because this is a brutal sport. It's the hurt business. But hey, Sam Alvey was around for a long time, man. Guess it comes down to depth in the division, and that is very true, because even at flyweight, you've got some guys who have stuck around for a while, just because like for instance, we can look at this, and depth is such a big thing, right? In my heavyweight database, I have 58 rows, but there's less than that because the first 4 don't count, so it's 54 fighters, right? At 205, I have 61, so that's actually 57 fighters. At middleweight, see, it gets more. Now at middleweight, I've got like 97. At welterweight, I've got 106. At lightweight, I've got 110. At featherweight, I've got 97. At bantamweight, I've got 104. And at flyweight, I've got 47. So flyweight's a division that's not deep at all. And that's where you're going to see names like Victor Rodriguez, like Juan Camilo Ronderos, like Daniel Lacerda, CJ Vergara, Dennis Bondar, Altamirano, Carlos Hernandez, Carlos Candelario, Charles Johnson, Ryan Benoit, JP Buys, some guys that you're like, oh, Zaruk Adeshev, Tyson Nam, Matt Danger Schnell. The less depth there is, the more likely that somebody's going to stick around longer than they should, man. That's for sure. Jared needs a new nickname. Jared Vanderaa. Dude is a panel van and bag of candy away from being listed #1 pedophile on the most. Oh, man. His scale wave pushes him over the top. Oh, man. Wow. Papa Chuck unloading both barrels right there. I thought I said some nasty things about his fight IQ, but that one takes it to the next level. But yeah, I mean, I'm not betting on Jared Vanderaa this week. I don't care how much plus money you give me. Luke Bet, you saying that's what we have Weezy for. Vic saying, guys, it's happening. Kattar is plus money now. Oh my God. Let's have a look at that, right? Refresh Calvin Kattar plus 102 on Bet Rivers, plus 102 on Unibet. Yeah, and that line is moving in his favor. It sat at minus 200 literally for like a couple of months, but once like the line actually started moving, you see it go to 160, 130, minus 120, and now it's sitting up here at minus 101. So yeah, if you're a bargain hunter, now would be the time to jump in on the Calvin Kattar money line, because he's more experienced. He's been in 5-round fights more, and he's definitely fought the better brand of competition. And I mean, we're not really saying that there are a lot of guys in this men's featherweight division that are a better boxer than than Calvin Kattar. As a matter of fact, accredited kickboxer like Giga Chikadze just got chewed up by Calvin for 5 rounds. So yeah, that line is moved, and it's our job to take advantage of lines that have moved too far. That line movement is bananas, says Lou Betcha, and there's no doubt about that, man. Nacho Buddy Chief, how do you all feel about Mota? Mota's a good prospect, man. It's his UFC debut. He's taking it on short notice, so we have to, damper our expectations just a little bit on him, I believe, because the UFC jitters is a thing. Taking a high level fight on short notice is a thing, especially when it's the biggest fight of your life. And but we've seen Mota fight good opponents and show a lot of toughness. I kind of think that fight is probably going to go the distance more times than it finishes inside the distance. I think both of these guys are pretty tough. I think that Mota by submission could potentially be a good look, but we're not really seeing the lines open on that yet. We've only got the minus 163 line on Mota, which was a little bit more pricey. It was minus 180, minus 175. And now it's got up to about minus 160, at least on Bet Online, which is, the book that always opens at first. And then we were seeing a bunch of money come in on Christian Rodriguez as well, as we saw him open at minus 160. Big up to you if you got that line, which was there for 20 minutes, because then it went to minus 310 and then just ran from there. So these are some great prospect fights, but I like Mota quite a bit. But Durden is not a joke. He's got great wrestling. He's got a nice jab. He's shown that he can fight through being tired. He's fought the much better brand of competition up to this point in his career, and he's a lot more experienced. So definitely a tough skill set. But Mota is a BJJ black belt, and Cody is going to take him down. So we could see Mota, hunting for submissions, and Cody's lost 3 of his 4 professional fights by submission. So, I don't hate anybody that's taking the shot on Mota here, and I think a very slick prop to look at is the Mota by submission, because he's never submitted anybody in his career yet. But that day will come. He is a very talented grappler, so we're definitely looking on this to be a great fight, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to this Mota Durden scrap, and I don't have any bets on it yet. I definitely missed those violence props, so now I'm just sitting back to see if anything else presents itself. Jester says, what we sipping on, Weezy? I don't have anything in front of me except for my water cup right now, but I did have a beer earlier, and I might go grab one here shortly and enjoy a beverage with you guys while we answer some questions about this card. Appreciate you hanging out, Jester. We've got Evan Williams saying, what up from Detroit? What's up from Detroit? Good to see you, Evan. Thanks for checking in, brother. My girlfriend, born in France, came to this country when she was 5 years old, and that is where she lived until she was about 13 or something like that. I think she said 8 Mile in Woodward or 9 Mile in Woodward or something like that. Definitely a Detroit girl at heart, besides being a French citizen. Thanks for checking in, Evan. We've got JSJ23 saying, anyone else surprised to see the Friend Gore line closing? One has a solid regional resume and the other is a 3-2 pro. You know what's interesting about Tresean Gore that nobody really talks about here? That is, if we go to the Fight Center, he's got some good names on his amateur resume, and that's something that most people don't talk about. But he's got names like Robert Hale on his amateur resume, and I believe there's one other really good name on that amateur resume. So let's find Trey Gore here. And there he is. So 3-2 as a pro, but 2 fights in the Ultimate Fighter House against quality competition and Ryder Newman and Gil Urbina. And then prior to that, like I say, a win against Tanner Saraceno and a win against Robert Hale. Tanner Saraceno is 9-6 as a pro, but look at all the names on Tanner's resume. Sasha Palatnikov, Gregory Rodriguez, Jonathan Webb, Kenny Gaudreau, Sean Brady, Jared Gooden, Elder Eldarov, His first two fights as a professional were against Elderov and Jared Gooden. So he's fought names. So Gore is just a little bit more experienced and a little bit better than what the 3-2 pro record tells you. And I think maybe that's what some people are looking at. But Friend, it's hard, man. I mean, when you look at there are some wins that are just scary. I would recommend that you guys go and watch for Friend. Let me grab them for you here real quick. So Josh Friend, Factory X product. These 3 wins before the Gregory Rodriguez fight: Bruno Oliveira, Antonio Jones, and in particular the Lamar Gosey fight. If you're a bit squeamish, don't watch the Gosey fight because he nearly kills this dude with knees to the head. And then the Antonio Jones and the Bruno Oliveira fights. These were all fights that he finished in the first round and that he finished violently and left his opponent in a heap, like gasping for air on the ground. So, and he got the win against Bauman here, and the losses are to guys, frankly, that would destroy Tresean Gore at this point in his career. Anthony Hernandez, Hobo Cop, Barack Obama, but he's got decent names. Bruno Oliveira, Joel Bauman, Antonio Jones, Lamar Gosey. There are some decent names on the resume here as well for Josh Friend. And the Big Yins is the, I don't know what that means, but that is a new nickname for Josh Friend. Josh Friend will be known going forward as the Big Yins. But yeah, I like Friend in this spot. I do think that he gets this dub. Friend is somebody who's originally from Pennsylvania, has a wrestling background, so he's going to be able to mix that in, maybe get to Gore's gas tank a little bit, get him going up and down. In addition to that, because he's a Factory X product, he trains with one friend of the show, Cody Brundage, who just beat Tresean Gore, and Friend was Brundage's training partner, I believe, for that fight. So whatever Brundage was working on to beat Gore, Friend was already working on that with Cody back when Cody fought Trey. So it's a good matchup for Josh Friend here. And if the money is coming in on Trey, I think that's an opportunity to bet the Friend money line here. Mr. Jingles is in the room, and he is saying, "Oh, what's up, dude? Good to see you in here." The Couch Warrior, who I was hanging out with for UFC 280 last week, saying, "What's up, guys?" And saying, "Weezy, BetOnline has Kattar more significant strikes from -175. What do you think?" All right, well, let's look at the stats on that. Because Kattar, let's remember, he's been outlanded in a lot of fights because of the fact that, especially because of the Max Holloway fight, right? But we can find Kattar's significant strikes here, and then we can find his opponent's significant strikes here. So in the last fight, he outscored him. And 2 fights ago, he outscored him. 3 fights ago, he got outscored. 105-84, that's a win. 52-57, that's a loss. 80-96, that's a loss. 22-12, that's a win. 24-20, that's a win. 41-116, that's a loss. 85-89, that's a loss. 75-73, that's a win. So he is in 6 fights out of his, how many UFC fights? 11. So just over half of his fights. Now, Arnold Allen, on the other hand, is a very good significant strike differential here at 3.31 landed and 2.22 absorbed. So we're probably not going to find a lot of fights where Arnold Allen was outstruck by his opponents. And this is a 50-50 fight according to the judge, or according to the bookies. So 49-14, that's a win. 21-47 is not a win. 63-49, win. 102-23, that's a win. 37-30, that's a win. 29-20, that's a win. 32-17, that's a win. 31-25, that's a win. 23-35, that's a loss. So 9 fights, 7 of them he has outstruck his opponents. So Kattar outstrikes his opponents like about 55% of the time. Arnold Allen is outstriking his opponents about 77% of the time. So to lay minus 175 on that bet means that you're laying about a 62, 63% implied probability. I don't think that that's a good bet just by the numbers there. But I do think that Calvin Kattar is going to win this fight. But Arnold Allen does a very good job of outstriking his opponents. So we'll see how it goes. Arnold Allen has, I believe, 66% striking defense. We'll be able to see it better here. 66% striking defense to 54% for Kattar. And Kattar also throws less volume than his opponents. So, yeah, I would not make that bet, Couch Warrior. One bet that I would make that I liked on betonline.com, how about this one? Dustin Jacoby lands more significant strikes than Khalil Roundtree, minus 135. The only fight, I believe, thus far, after Dustin Jacoby's 4 years off at the UFC level, that where he was outstruck by one of his opponents, was the Grisham fight. And in that fight, Jacoby was injured. He went in with a leg injury and was unable to use his kicks. He still won the fight, but he was just using his fists. Still wound up close to significant strikes in Grisham, but that's the only one that he's been outstruck. So Khalil Roundtree, kind of low volume, looks for big power shots. I think there's a very high percentage that Jacoby lands more significant strikes, and it's much cheaper than the minus 175 line on Kattar. We got our guy, one of Chicago's best rap producers in the room. Everybody step it up. Shout out Kanye Ye West saying, "Oi, yes, Weezy in the house." What's the spreadsheet say about heavyweights going over 1.5 this week? We got 2. Keep it cool, Uncle Weezy. Well, you know, Ye, that your boy Uncle Weezy, when it comes to Ye, he's got the beats for you. When it comes to your Uncle Weezy, he's got the stats for you. So let's break it down, man. First heavyweight fight, Andrei Arlovski versus De Lima. The over 1.5 on this fight right now, according to whatever book has it, which is Betway, minus 275 in the over, plus 200 on the under. Minus 275. So right now, if we bet minus 275 on the over 1.5 in the Arlovski-De Lima fight, that is a 73.33% implied probability on that minus 275 line, right? We're looking right here, everybody. These numbers, okay? We're overpaying by 16.78% when we compare these guys over 1.5 numbers to the implied probability of the line, which means that these guys are only going over 1.5 about 56% of the time, and we're paying 73. Also, when we compare, the 16.78 is compared to the benchmark. So heavyweights go over 1.5 about 56% of the time. We're paying 73. These two fighters, Rogerio De Lima and Arlovski, in their combined UFC careers, are going over 1.5 rounds about 48% of the time, and we're paying 73. So it's absolutely overpriced. This is not a bet that we're making. Minus 275 for the over 1.5 is entirely too juiced because of this. Marcos Rogerio De Lima at the UFC level has finished 6 of his 8 wins inside the distance and has been finished in 5 of his 6 wins inside the distance. So almost 80%, almost 4 of his 5 fights are finishing inside the distance. And as a matter of fact, every single one of those 11 fights that has finished inside the distance has finished under 1.5. So he's not just getting out of there in wins. It's also in losses that he's losing under 1.5 rounds. So I hate the over 1.5 for that fight. And then in the other heavyweight fight, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta versus the walking concussion, Jared Vanderaa. And the over 1.5 in that fight is minus 120 and plus 105. So minus 120 for the over, plus 105 for the under. Minus 120 there. Okay, so the prop template at the minus 120 is very fairly priced here. 2.01% underpriced compared to the benchmark, 2.6% underpriced compared to the over 1.5 rates of both fighters at the UFC level. And these guys are going over 1.5% or over 1.5 rounds, about 0.59% more than what the division does. The under 1.5 overpriced by about 5% in these two categories, and overpriced by about 0.5% in the divisional rate against the fighters rate. So I would rather bet the over in this one. And just stylistically, Cortez Acosta does have 5 wins, but he's not a guy that's finishing people in the first round right away. So, and Vanderaa is fairly tough dude, and I think it's going to be a striking match. And Vandeera's got good boxing, so I think the over 1.5 is the better bet here. But neither one of them is under or overpriced enough that it's got me running to the window here. Color of Combat saying ass shaving of the week, total record for the year. I have no idea. I would have to go back and look at every prediction and look at it. But I'll tell you, over the last 10 weeks, I haven't been doing well. But there was a stretch earlier in the year, I think, where I got 11 in a row correct. But yeah, Peter Yan did not get the job done last week. The week before that, I'm not sure even who I picked. Oh, I think that a couple of weeks ago, even Maxim Grishin was the pick over Felipe Lins, and that fight didn't even happen. Yeah, I mean, it's probably around 75% on the year because of that huge winning streak that I did go on. But lately, I've been maybe getting 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5 right. Definitely have not been doing so well on it lately. This week, it's Waldo Cortez Acosta. There are a couple other directions that I could have went. Definitely could have went in the Christian Rodriguez direction, and I think he does shave ass, but at minus 400, I don't think you need me to tell you that. And then we got Gogo Flamingo in the room saying, yes, Weezy finally made it live. Let's go. What's up, Gogo? One of the big supporters of the show. I appreciate you, man. Lou Betya saying, Children of the Corn freak me the F out, Weezy. Malachi terrifying. Yeah, and terrifying haircuts once again, just like Damien from The Omen. Those Children of the Corn kids with those bowl haircuts, man. It's just something. Children of the Damned is another one with the bowl haircuts of those British kids, man. They're just freaky anyway, man. But then when you put the bowl haircut on them, they're even freakier, dude. It's something else, man. JSJ saying unrelated, but any thoughts on Dana White's Power Slap League? Yeah, my thoughts are that you would have to be just a complete moron to let a man hit you in the face without resisting. I mean, if you ever, any of you people, anybody out there, if you care about your Uncle Weezy, if you want the best for me, if you want me to do better in life, if you want me to continue moving forward, to progress, to try to be better, kick the shit out of me if you ever catch me watching that dumb shit. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to let some other guy across from me slap me and just sit there and then just say, well, I'm going to give my chance next. No, man. No. Slap League is for slaps. It's for morons. No, thank you. I will not be a part of it. I hope Dana White participates so that he can know firsthand when that first slap comes across his face how stupid of an idea this is and how he should be ashamed of himself for even putting 1 penny of his money into some garbage like that. Thank you, though, JSJ, for bringing that up. Appreciate you, brother. Lord Hunsucker, says Lou Bet. Yeah, he is the man, man, and we're going to miss Harry Hunsucker. Prince of Mischief saying that JSJ, they need to change that name. The word white and power are way too close to each other. Great stuff, Prince of Mischief. Appreciate you, man. And then Couch Warrior saying he doesn't like that fact. Such a random thing for him to do. I know. Got my ass and balls shaved at UFC 280. I was on O'Malley, Bilal, and Dariush, and I'm still 6 units down for the year. Had 3 parlays, all 1 fight off. It's been the story lately. Was up 45 units by April. Yeah, man. Look, part of this game is being humble through your winnings and being hopeful through your losing. Because look, we can't help it. We're bettors. We put bets down. We assume that the people that we're bet on are going to do their best to win the fight. But at the end of the day, it's completely out of our hands. So we can't take the losses too seriously, and we can't start sucking our own dicks when we're actually winning, because it's the fighters that are winning. We're just picking the right side. So we've got to be really calm when we're winning. We've got to be humble when we're winning. And the more humble you are in life and just in general, it will allow you to be able to examine yourself in a way that's honest. And when you do that, when you have honest self-examination, self-reflection, you can grow from your mistakes and you can get better at whatever it is that you're trying to improve in life. So look, you were up 45 units in April. That's an amazing accomplishment. Think about that. That's 135 units in a year if you were to keep up that pace. And there are very few gamblers, Go Wolfmaker, that are going to keep up that pace. But if you wind up 60 units in a year, guess what? That's really fucking good. Look, there are money managers out there where they get billions of dollars put in their lap. But really, all those bets that they're making, if let's say they make 12% in a year, that's essentially like being up 12 units in your betting account. Because being up 12 units at the end of the year means you're up 12%. So if you're up 45 units in 1 year, I mean, you're like a money manager that's I mean, they're buying yachts. They have acres and acres of land over there in Martha's Vineyard and shit. So learn what you learned from those wins. Look at what you did. Go back and examine that time period. Look at what you did right, and then try to grow from that. And then when you do lose, have a really honest examination of those losses. Figure out what it was that maybe you did wrong, or also be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I think I had the right read here. It just didn't go my way. So I got to continue to try to push those buttons. But you're doing great, man. You're winning. It's hard to be a long-term winner in this game. And if you're doing that, you're doing something right. Victor De Jesus saying, hey, Weezy, what's your most confident spot on this card? Anything you'd be willing to max bet? Absolutely. Well, okay. Christian Rodriguez at minus 160 would have been a max bet, but that train has sailed, so to speak. So there are spots that I really like. For instance, the Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Andre Arlovsky under 1.5 rounds. I think that's just such a great spot. If we look at Marcos Rogerio de Lima and we see that he has been under 1.5 rounds. All right, let me zoom in for you guys so you can see this. This is under 1.5, 78.57%. 11 of his 14 fights at the UFC level have went under 1.5 rounds. 78.57% is about minus 350. Okay, we're getting plus 200. Think about that, because one of these guys is going to get their way, right? And you could say, but Arlovsky only goes to decision. Yeah, he does. Against Jake Collier, against Jared Vanderaa, against Carlos Felipe, against Chase Sherman. When he got in there with a real heavyweight and Tom Aspinall, he got smoked. Tanner Boser, decision. Felipe Lins, blown up light heavyweight, decision. Rosenstruik hits hard, starched him in 29 seconds, okay? Ben Rothwell, old. Augusto Sakai, not great. Walt Harris, That one went to decision, but that was back in 2018. He's going to this. Well, he actually went to decision with Tai Tuivasa. That's actually really impressive, and that was 2018. So that was a little over 4 years ago. But he's 43 years old. If Rogerio de Lima goes out there with the proper mindset of I'm fighting a 43-year-old man who hasn't landed a knockdown since the year 2015. Okay? Andrei Arlovsky has not landed a knockdown since the year 2015. He was fighting Travis Brown. Okay? If he goes out there with that mindset. Now, let's look at when was the last time that Marcos Rogerio de Lima landed a knockdown was. Got 5 knockdowns. The most recent ones against Ben the Combat Wombat Sosoli and against Stefan Struve, 2020, 2019. He's landing a knockdown on 1.81% of the significant strikes that he lands. So he's got legitimate power. And if he just goes out there and says, look, I'm gonna bull rush this guy, I'm gonna throw huge kicks, huge punches, wait for one of them to find its mark, drop him, and then finish him. He can know that Andrei Arlovsky is not going to have anything coming back his way that's going to pose him any danger. If he fights like that, he's cashing this plus 200 for us. That's a bet I'm looking to make. It's just not available on any of my books yet, but plus 200 for that one is fat. Plus 250 for fucking Steve Garcia against Chase Hooper, I think is a great look this week. Chase Hooper was just lost to Stephen Ocho Peterson 2 fights ago. He would have lost to slippery Pete Barrett had he not locked up that footlock. To think that he's just going to go out there and mollywop a guy with 100% takedown defense in Steve Garcia, I mean, I think it's a little bit presumptuous. This line is a little bit presumptuous. Chase Hooper's still got a lot of growing to go. His last performance was absolutely fantastic. But that minus 300 line right now for Chase Hooper throws away every other performance at the UFC level before that. And that's very important. So I think you're getting a huge discount. This is not the week where we're throwing out max bets, Vic. This is the week where we look for mispriced lines, take small shots at big plus money numbers, try to come out the other end with a plus money number, move on to next week, which unfortunately is even more ass in terms of name value and in terms of quality of competition. And then we can look at the next week after that and start to lay down some big money again on some more predictable outcomes with bigger sample sizes. That would be my advice. The Friend Gore under 2.5 is plus 175. Thoughts? Okay. So with Friend Gore, we have really no sample size. Under 2.5 is plus 175. What the fuck? It was minus 125 just yesterday. What is going on there? Under 2. No, dude. No, it's not. I mean, right now I've got the best line for under 2.5 at minus 125. And at minus 125, yeah, it's overpriced by 5.45% compared to the benchmark for the division. But Friend's got 7 of 9 finish rate and Gore 2 of 3 finish rate. So that's 75% in their combined wins, 40% in their combined losses. These guys are finishing at about a 64% clip. So I don't hate it. I actually got the fight goes to decision. I got this line here. You can see that big trifecta there. Plus 195 for the fight goes. That's long gone. So let's update these lines. Fight goes plus 140. Over is minus 104. 140 minus 104. And then the over 1.5 is minus 185. Yeah. And then the fight doesn't go to decision. It's minus 170. And the under is minus 122. Minus 170, minus 122. Yeah, this is one. We have very small sample sizes from both fighters at the UFC level. I bet that plus 195. I'm hoping it goes to decision, but in my mind, I think that this thing probably finishes inside the distance more times than it doesn't. It's a middleweight fight. Middleweight fights finish inside the distance 3 rounds, 55% of the time. So you always should be paying negative. You should be paying juice for the fight doesn't go, and we're doing that here. So, but yeah, plus 270. If it was plus 175 for the under 2.5, that's a spot that you need to be smashing, but that's clearly a mistake line. Headley one saying at JSJ, Power Slap League is stupid. They're just trading concussions. At least in MMA, you have the chance to dodge a punch. I couldn't agree more. Brian is in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, boys? What's going on, man?" We got Gabriel Gonzalez saying, Arizona low roller waiting for props on Chris Mota. Yeah, man, I want to see those props too, man. Mota by submission is a very interesting prop. He's never submitted anyone in his career, but he's a BJJ black belt. And Durden has 4 professional losses. 3 of them are by submission. So, and you know that Durden is a chain wrestler who's going to put himself on the ground into places where, a black belt can hunt for submission. So I think that that's a good one. I think that's a great fight to look at props on, Gonzalez. Thanks for hanging out. Brian is in here taking notes. We got King of NPCs saying, Trayshawn Gore ain't no Gregory Rodriguez. You are correct, sir. He doesn't look anything like Barack Obama, and he's not Brazilian, and he's not a robotic cop sent from the future to save us all. So definitely not Gregory Rodriguez. We got Prince of Mischief saying, "Oh my God, I remember watching Tanner on Tough Enough, WWE's version of Tough, back when I was a wrestling fan. I didn't even notice he transitioned to MMA. I didn't even know he was a wrestling guy, actually. But yeah, he fought Trey Gore, and the dude has got a lot of high-level names on his resume. So before Trey Gore turned pro, 2 wins over guys like Hale and Saraceno are legit amateur wins. And then he comes into the pros, 3-0, goes into the UFC house, gets those 2 wins there. Then he gets injured. Then he loses to Brian Battle after he comes back from the injury. Then he gets knocked out in the first round by Cody Brundage, but he's still young. He's still getting better. He's very confident. We could see Trayshawn Gore get a win here. Friend has got a couple of losses. Friend has gotten clipped in fights. He got clipped by Gregory Rodriguez. He got clipped in one of those wins where he won in the first round. He got clipped early in that one and then came back and won it. I think it was actually the one where he nearly killed the dude with knees. I think that guy clipped him early. So sometimes a friend throws a naked low leg kick and doesn't set it up with punches first and gets fucking clipped. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight for sure. Western PA says King of NPCs. That means that he can wrestle. And Yins in Western Pennsylvania used to refer then to more than one person. So Josh Fremd, the big Yins is like the big more than one person, huh? Interesting. I did not know that. Philadelphia stand up. Papa Chuck and King of NPCs, thanks for letting me know about the slang from Western Pennsylvania. Did I bet Makhachev's sub last week? Now, I had Makhachev's money line as the anchor for my 4-leg parlay, but only 3 of the legs came in. The leg that didn't come in was Sean Brady by decision. So I did not bet the Makhachev sub, but I was very confident on the money line, threw it in that parlay. But man, Islam Makhachev looked absolutely incredible. David Barista saying, always love arguing, competing with my uncles and whatever it might be. But boy, do I regret being a Charles fan. Respect for your ability to tell it like it is and wager with your brain, not your heart. I mean, dude, that's so hard to do. It's so hard to do. When you love a fighter, you always are looking for their path to victory. And you're always looking at your favorite fighter's opponents' weak spots. And you always just assume the fight's going to go there. I mean, look, I grew up a Cub fan. I talked myself into the fact that they were going to win divisions over and over and over again when they had no chance. So it's just part of human nature. But I think that if we want to grow, if we want to get better, if we want to perform well in the long term, betting on MMA, we have to try to be as non-fanboy as possible, and to really look at not only our favorite fighters' strengths but their weaknesses as well. And EB saying Allen is a beta cuck. Which Allen? Arnold Allen? You tell him that. Fucking guy's 9-0 in the UFC. You're calling him a beta cuck? Come on, son. Chase Hooper by ground and pound or sub. Yeah, dude. I mean, he looked so fucking good against Kalarish, man. I mean, if he keeps putting on performances like that, man, he's going to be climbing that ladder quickly. Yins is a Pittsburgh equivalent to y'all. Okay. All right. FYI. Appreciate all my Pennsylvania people. Roundtree sucks. Yeah, dude. You know what you should do, EB? You should go tell Khalil Roundtree to his face how much he sucks. And I'm sure that he would be like, wow, maybe we could sit down and you could tell me how I could be tougher and how I could have, beaten 7 shades of shit out of everybody that I've beaten at the UFC level, even better with your infinite help and wisdom, EB. Anyone can run through Baby K. Yeah, can anyone run through Eric Anders? Can anyone split somebody's leg in half with an oblique kick? Did you see what this guy did to Anders? Did you see that performance? When Khalil Roundtree is on, he's on. And when he's off, guys like Marcin Prachnio make him look like an absolute amateur. I mean, the thing about Roundtree is you can't be too confident betting on him or against him. Super high variance. He brings different levels of intensity to each fight, and it makes it very difficult to gamble on his fights. But Khalil Roundtree is a fucking killer. Papa Chuck saying, Mushroom, you there? EB saying, Books really think Lima can win a decision here? Huh? Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, Lima obviously is a finisher. He has won a couple of decisions. Maybe he could take down Arlovsky. Maybe he could land a big shot in 2 out of the 3 rounds because Arlovsky really doesn't do anything. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a potential for DeLima to win a decision, but man, I just don't. I don't really see a high probability of that, and that's why the finish only prop for Rogerio DeLima is minus 400 on Bet Online. Gogo saying, you guys want some free money? Islam is a minus 130 favorite against Volkanovski. What book is that on? What book is that? Because I want to fucking bet that right now. I want to max bet that right now. Where future events? See if we can find it. Hasbullah against Abdu Rozik. Who do you got? Hasbullah minus 170. Let's see. Habib against Dustin. Cyril Gahn. Volkanovski against Oliveira was in there. Volkanovski against Islam. Islam's already minus 360. Damn it, where are you getting these lines, Gogo? Are you getting plus 175 on the under 2.5? Where are you getting these lines? Please let me get Islam Makhachev at minus 130, please. Where did that open? It opened at minus 400. So, I mean, you got to please tell me where you're getting these lines. Is that really free? I don't know what that means. Gogo, yeah, man, Islam is a welterweight. Bigger than Colby. He's not losing to anyone for a long time. He'd take out most of the welterweight division. Yeah, I said on Stack Diggers that Brady and I might both be dead by the time that someone beats Islam Makhachev. The guy just looks, he looks absolutely incredible. Six-Man Film saying, I'm late. Sorry. Best bet for Roundtree versus Jacoby. There's a couple that I like. I like the Dustin Jacoby decision-only prop. I think he's the much better minute winner. I think if this fight does go the full 15 minutes, there's a very high probability that Dustin Jacoby wins the fight. I also like Dustin Jacoby to land more significant strikes on BetOnline at -135. And I think I also like the Khalil Roundtree finish only prop, which means if it goes to decision, the bet is void and you get your money back. But if there's a finish, you're getting plus money that Khalil Roundtree is the finisher, and then you would lose whatever you bet, obviously, if Jacoby finished Roundtree. But those would be my favorite bets for the Roundtree versus Jacoby fight, Six Man Films. Thank you for hanging out. Gogo's saying, we'll let it slide this time, but don't let it happen again. Dude, you can come in late whenever you want, man. I'm not that dick professor that says, what's your name and docks you a couple of points for being late. Zach Singleton in the room saying, oi, what's up, Zach? We got Antonio Esparza. Yo, Uncle Weezy, what's up? I love Dolidze at plus 144 on FanDuel. I think he wrestles and gets a unanimous decision. Thoughts? Thanks, Unc. I don't trust him to be able to take down Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes has an excellent wrestling background. He has not had a lot of takedowns shot against him, Phil Hawes, but he does have 100% takedown defense. These two rows here are what his opponents have done. And he's only faced takedown attempts in one fight. And he stuffed all 7 of them. And it was in the Kyle Dawkins fight. So Kyle Dawkins is a pretty low percentage wrestler. He faced no takedowns against Jacob Malkoun because he starched him in 18 seconds. But guys like Marquez, Nasruddin Imavov, Curtis is not going to try to take you down. I think it's interesting that a guy in Darren Wynn didn't even shoot a takedown against him. I think that's bizarre because Darren Wynn has got the shortest reach in not only the middleweight division, but probably the welterweight and the lightweight division as well. And he goes out there and he boxes 3 rounds with a guy like Phil Hawes who just absolutely kicked the shit out of him. So he's got really good takedown defense, but we just haven't seen it tested that much. But we do want to say here that Roman Dolidze has had very high percentage success, 9 of his 17 on his takedowns. And in the fights where he did get takedowns, these 3 fights, he gets 577, 255, and 436 seconds of control time. So if we were to add up those 3 numbers, in the fights that he got takedowns, he got 1,268 seconds of control time out of 2,700. So in fights where he gets takedowns, he's controlling his opponents 47% of the fight on the aggregate. So if Dolidze is able to get the wrestling going and he's successful with it and he gets Phil Hawes down and is able to win minutes there, that's a great thing. But I just want to remind you that the only guy to get any control time against him was Nasruddin Imavov, and that was all cage control time, as that fight was spent quite a bit up against the cage. So Dolidze, I think, has a better chance to control him in the clinch than he does on the ground. But either way, this is a great fight, and it's one that I don't have a great read on, and I have no bets on, Antonio Esparza. But thank you for hanging out, and thanks for asking good questions. I appreciate that. Headley one saying Slap League is one step away from Ow My Balls, from the movie Idiocracy, where they take turns kicking each other in the nuts. Lou Betcha would be all over this. Dude, I couldn't agree more. I mean, this Slap League thing is just... It's just criminally stupid. It's so bad. But I think Jared Vandera would be really good at it. Mushroom was in the room saying, Papa Chuck, what's up, Pop? We got Brian taking notes. We got Papa saying, what's up to Mushroom saying, I saddled up and made my profile picture a picture of me from the 90s with a dope-ass mullet. You need to make yours a picture of one of your lunches at the minimum or a close-up of a sandwich and a vape. There you go, man. Prince of Mischief saying, what division goes over 2.5 the most? That would be the women's strawweight division. But we can take a look at the over 1.5 rates here of all the divisions. Actually, it is the women's flyweight division going Over 1.5, 79.75% of the time. The strawweights go over 79.02% of the time. And the women's bantamweights go over 78.34% of the time. So, long story short, basically women's fights go over 1.5 exactly 79% of the time on the aggregate. And then if we look at all the other weight classes, it would be the flyweight and the featherweights that go over the most at 72.5 and 72.9% respectively. So it's actually the featherweights that have the lowest over 1.5 rate out of all the men's divisions. So there you go, straight from your prop template from your Uncle Weezy. And I just updated those analytics to include every event that has taken place since 2013, including UFC 280. So that is a great little thing that you can have there if you subscribe to Uncle Weezy's Patreon for $20 a month, the advanced tour. And we got, who do you think it's the parlay buster Yan Gamrot was last week? This week, who do you predict? I think it could be Chase Hooper. He's a young man. He's not great with the wrestling yet. And Felipe Colares was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who was actually kind of happy to roll with Chase on the ground. He gave Chase the fight that he wanted. I think that if you fight somebody with really good kickboxing, like Steve Garcia, who's going to try to avoid the ground at all costs, that he could easily, I mean, look, if this fight is only in control time positions for 3 or 4 out of the 15 minutes, you think there's any chance that Chase Hooper is winning it? I don't. So I think minus 300 is a leg that could actually wind up being your apple pie shitter. I mean, even though I've got Waldo Cortez Acosta down as my ass shaving of the week, you know, whenever you lay minus 200 on a heavyweight fighter, you know, something can go wrong. These guys hit very hard. Same thing with Rogerio de Lima. Joseph Holmes has got a 100% finish rate, and Jun Young Park's been finishing both of his UFC losses, so he could potentially blow it. If Josh Ween snags up a submission, you know, he could blow it out of the water for Christian Rodriguez. But I think the most likely guy to blow it is going to be Steve Garcia, to be honest with you. I mean, Chase Hooper, just because I think that he's the least experienced, and I think that he's the guy who's the biggest favorite, who has the biggest hole in his game. And that's the stand-up, and in particular, the striking defense, which could leave him in positions to eat big shots from a guy like Steve Garcia, who has a ton of power. Let's see. I think Holmes is going to live to outwork Park like RoboCop did. That'll be interesting if he does that. Antonio Arlovsky versus De Lima under 2.5 plus 136 on FanDuel. Should I hammer that, Weez? I'd like to see you get that under 1.5, because I think that if this fight does finish inside the distance, it means Rogerio de Lima had his way. Rogerio de Lima is extremely front-loaded. So I think that under 1.5 takes all of de Lima's win condition inside the distance and puts it into a much fatter line, which you should be able to get plus 200 on. Because I think if this thing goes over 1.5, it just goes the full 15. So under 2.5 at plus 136 is a fat line, and I think it's probably the best line available. So if you feel comfortable getting that extra 5 minutes, go for it. But I would love to see where that under 1.5 opens up on a book like DraftKings. And if you could get plus 200 or better, I would recommend doing that instead. But I think both lines definitely have a chance of hitting. Let's see here. We got XA Money saying Friend Moneyline and Griffin Moneyline considering parlay. What do we think? I like both of those guys to win the fight. I think Max is just better lately. I think his wins are better. I think he's fighting the more experienced, well-rounded competition. And then with Friend, I think that Friend is a lot more well-rounded and a lot more experienced at this point in his career than Gore is. And I hate the fact that Gore doesn't counterpunch. So I think that anybody that's busy, that pressures, and can put together combinations could give Trey a lot of problems. So I think that that's a solid spot there. Go saying, do you think Means is a live dog? I mean, yeah, Tim Means is live, but I do like Max Griffin to win this fight. Means is a big, long guy, but it's actually Griffin with the reach advantage here, which is kind of odd, right? Um, Griffin's a little bit younger. I think Griffin's a much better wrestler, and I think that he's very efficient on the ground as Tim Means. But I think that Griffin, when he puts his mind to it, can really mix in that wrestling and use it to win rounds. I think he's more likely to be able to do that than Tim. And I think they're very well matched on the feet. So I do think that Griffin no, but Griffin's minus 190, so it's juiced up at plus 160. It's not the worst thing to take a shot on a veteran like Tim Means, who's good everywhere and who has a good amount of power. Prince of Mischief saying, Papa Chuck, yeah, I'm one of the few that think Durden is going to win. No slips yet. Yeah, I mean, Durden's very live in the spot. I think it's a very, very close fight. My guy, the Cuban Assassin in the room, saying, Weezy Wheeze, Arnold Allen has a strong porn cop stash. I'll have to check that out. I heard that Jared Van Der's got a mustache rocking as well here. And we just saw Randy Costa and somebody else with a old-timey mustache just get absolutely waxed a couple of weeks ago. So, sometimes those trends, like mullets were hot and they were all the rage for a minute. And then all of a sudden, Brendan Allen and Jimmy Crute go out there on the same card with the same horseshit mullet and shit the bed as huge favorites on the same card. So, right now, porn stashes are ice cold. Eddie Wineland just got knocked the fuck out recently. Like I said, Randy Costa, and then I forget who the other guy on that card was. But yeah, man, that's not a good thing for Arnold Allen because right now, Calvin Kattar is not a guy that you want to be walking into that cage with less than your best. Prince of Mischief saying, hey, Weezy, on crappy cards, you should not do any pre-fight bets and do a watch party and live bet the card. That would be awesome content. Yeah, dude, that would be pretty funny. I mean, just go with your gut and go with how the card is going up to that point. Be like, man, this is nuts. Neither one of these guys should ever be able to finish a fight. So we're betting the whole bankroll on fight doesn't go to decision because nothing's making sense today. You can have fun with that. And next week is such a crappy card that maybe we'll try something like that, Prince of Mischief. Brian is in the room and he says, "Oi!" And we got Vic saying, I wouldn't mind watching Hasbulla versus Duran win. Oh, you got to put that on Twitter, Vic. You got to put that on Twitter. People will love that shit. They'll retweet the shit out of it. Do I think Griffin gets the KO? Look, Tim Means is not a guy that gets knocked out a lot. But it's been happening more lately. So let's just take a look at the stats because that's something I can always bring for you guys here. And Tim Means, here are the losses. Kevin Holland is a sub. Rodriguez is a sub. Nico Price is a knockout. And then every other loss before that was not a knockout. We got a couple of decisions here to Marias and Bilal Muhammad. We got a submission to Alex Oliveira. We've got a submission to Matt Brown. And then back in 2014 and 2013, 3 more decisions. So, yeah, he's only been knocked out once, and he's been knocked down a couple of times, it looks like. In this fight, number 40. In this fight, number 34. And in this fight, number 32. So Rodriguez, Price, and Alex Oliveira all knocked him down. Yeah, he's a pretty durable guy. And Max Griffin is a guy that has a lot of knockdowns, man. 7 knockdowns. So he's a lot more powerful. I mean, look, yeah, I think he could get a knockout here. Tim Means ain't getting any younger. Tim Means cuts a good amount of weight to make that 170. And he's knocking people down. Griffin's got a knockdown in his last 3 fights against Magny, against Condit, and against Song Kanan. And he didn't knock down Ramiz Brahimaj, but he tore off his ear. So you got that going for you. He lost to Alex Oliveira by split decision. He lost to Morano by unanimous decision. And then there were knockdowns in the Alves fight, in the Perry fight, and 2 in the Zaleski dos Santos fight, despite the fact that he lost that one, which is wild. Yeah, Zaleski landed 84, Means landed 51, but Means had 2 knockdowns and still lost. So, yeah, I think it's possible, man. Antonio Esparza is saying, is it crazy that I like Vanderaa at plus money? He's fighting a DWCS fighter, and I kind of like to fade those fighters. Thoughts, Weezy? Thanks, bro. Jared Vanderaa is a DWCS fighter, too. He fought the worst fighter to ever walk into the cage on DWCS, a guy by the name of Harry Hunsucker. It was because he beat Harry Hunsucker that he got escorted into the UFC, at which point he went 1-5, his only win against Justin Tafa, the least experienced heavyweight besides Cain Velasquez to ever get a contract. I believe at 3-0 as a professional, Justin Tafa got a contract. That is Jared Vandeera's only UFC win. So they're both DWCS guys. Jared's older. He's more experienced. He's fought the better brand of competition. And on paper, he's the better grappler. So when it's a heavyweight fight, even though I really like Waldo Cortez Acosta, I think he wins this fight. He's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I think he's going to win it. I think he's going to win it dominantly. But we have to be sober as gamblers and know that heavyweight fights are high variance fights. And if you're betting these fights over the long term, you want to be on that plus money side more than you want to be on the minus money side. And the biggest and best example that I can talk about here with this is my biggest bet on a heavyweight fight this year was 4.5 units on the Martin Budai money line against Lucas Bresky. Budai lost that fight, but won it on the judges' scorecards. I got bailed out big time. That was a 6.5 unit swing for me. So, as confident as I was in Budai, who was minus 225, I'm almost that confident in a cost at like minus 225. But I realize that if you're taking that plus money side, nobody can really blame you at the end of the day. It's a heavyweight fight. If these guys land big once, it changes the trajectory of the fight, and it can make an inferior fighter win. But all that being said, I'll never blame anybody for taking the plus money side, but I am strong on the Waldo Cortez side this week. Prince of Mischief saying, off the top of your head for this year, did you award a fighter to shave ass 2 times or more? I believe so. I believe Peter Yan. I think I had Peter Yan to shave Aljamain Sterling's ass in the second one. And I believe I had Peter Yan to shave. Well, I know I had Peter Yan to shave O'Malley's ass. And I think he won both of those fights. Peter Yan's pissed off and he wants out of the UFC. And frankly, I don't fucking blame him. I think he won those last 2 fights. I think he should still be champion. But they were close fights. And the judges, if you let it go to the scorecards, the judges, they pick whoever they're paid to pick. And that's just the way that it goes. So Peter's been on the wrong end of those last 2 decisions. And that's rough. But, if there's anybody else that I'm trying to think. Because there are some guys, that do a good job. And then I want to bet them again. I came close to betting Jonathan Pierce twice because I picked him over Christian Rodriguez. No, actually, I didn't. I picked him to beat Christian Rodriguez, but I don't think I picked him to shave ass that day. But, yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head, Prince of Mischief. I know Peter Yan, but other than that, I can't think of anyone else. Do I see Friend landing over 50 significant strikes? Now, I've got no sample sizes worth of data to lean on there. But 50 significant strikes if the fight goes the distance. And this thing goes the distance less than 50% of the time, according to the bookies, means about 3 significant strikes per minute is 45. So you have to land more than 3. Gore absorbed a lot of strikes from one Brian battle. I know that much. And Gore's got good takedown defense, and fighters absorb more significant strikes when they're standing than they do on the ground. So over 50, I don't think is a bad look, seeing as Tresean Gore is absorbing 6.74 significant strikes a minute. At that pace, if he were to eat that many significant strikes a minute, friend would cover that in like 9 minutes, less than 9 minutes, a little over 8. So I could definitely see it happening, but friend's a dude with a ton of power, man. And Gore's been dropped once, but yeah, I mean, I could see it happening there, but it's not something that I would be betting. In terms of significant strikes, I thought for prize picks, Marcos Rogerio de Lima under 50 something was a good bet. And Dustin Jacoby's over, I believe, is also a good bet because Jacoby just lands at a very high volume for a middleweight, over 5 significant strikes a minute. Thoughts on Griffin's confidence on going for a sub win? That's an interesting call. I mean, Means has been subbed a ton of times at the UFC level. So let's see if Griffin is even attempting subs. He's attempting 0.37 submissions per 15 minutes. He's been in the cage 10 and a half, 15 minutes. So 10 and a half times 0.37. So he's attempted 4 submissions in his UFC career. He's never gotten one. But Tim Means has been subbed 4 times at the UFC level. So I could see him going for it, but it's a very low likelihood. Max Griffin, as a matter of fact, only has 2 wins by submission in his entire career, and that's in a 27-fight sample size. So I would need at least 10-1 on a Griffin sub, at least that, in order to even consider it, Keith. Yeah, Papa Chuck saying, okay, Vandera has a porn stash too. He just moved to #1 on the Pedophile International Most Wanted list. Yeah, dude, it looks like there's more than one this week. And I don't think we should stand for it. That's just me. But this is not a call to action. I'm just saying that I don't think we should stand for it. You don't want to walk into the cage against Kattar with a porn stash. You don't. I said that earlier. I mean, I couldn't agree more, actually, Money. This is something that it's bad decision-making at this level, and you don't want to be doing that. I know Arnold's been numero uno, but, man, it's gutsy to do that. Vic saying, yeah, Vandera has a stash. Weezy, you have to watch that interview. I'm seriously concerned for Vandera. Dude, I've been saying it for a long time, Vic. Look, these guys train every day. Why the fuck is he shooting 0 takedowns versus Chase Sherman? It just goes to show that when he's in the cage, he doesn't have any concern for his own health and his own safety. And when you do that long enough and you pile up over 20 professional fights at the heavyweight level and you're willing to take damage because you fight stupid, it's gonna fucking have a toll. It's gonna wear on you. This guy has been getting concussion after concussion after concussion. And when you listen to him speak, it's becoming clearer and clearer that he probably should not be cleared to fight. And it wouldn't be the first time if he got not cleared to fight 48 hours before the fight, because this guy, he's not all there. He's not all there. And, get help. Get help, Jared Vandera. Hasbulla would have 6 inches of height on Darren Wynn and probably some speed too. But Darren Wynn, don't kid yourself. He's got the wrestling advantage in that fight. And I think if he wrestles, he probably looks minus 125. So, it's just what it is. Antonio Esparza saying, I love the fight goes the distance at minus 130 on FanDuel for Kattar and Allen. I can't see either guy getting knocked out. Thoughts? Okay, so Antonio, Calvin Kattar has never been finished at the UFC level, and Arnold Allen has never been finished. So these guys are both incredibly durable guys. The only way that Kattar has ever been finished in his career was by submission, and it was a long time ago. It was pre-UFC, probably in like 2013 or some shit like that. So it's not even something we can really take into account. We know that Calvin Kattar's durability is unquestioned, and Arnold Allen is a scrapper as well. It is Arnold's first 5-round fight, and a guy like Kattar, if he does hurt you, he's gonna go for that finish. And not only that, if you watch that Hooker Allen fight, this is the first time we saw Arnold Allen kind of just plant his feet and just start throwing hooks and saying, guess what? Maybe you hit me first, but I really don't care. If I hit you, your chin is going to spin 360 degrees. And he beat the fuck out of Hooker there. So I could see this fight finishing inside the distance, but let's real quick take a look at the 5-round analytics for featherweight fights. And we know that these guys are going to decision 43% of the time. The fight goes the distance at minus 130 means you're paying an implied probability around 55 to 58%, somewhere in that range. So you are going to be overpaying by about 12% in comparison to the benchmark for the fight goes to decision. But you can lean on the fact that you got two very durable fighters there, Antonio. So it's not the worst look in the world by any stretch of the imagination. And of course, that would be using UFC height info, which may be inaccurate, particularly in the case of Darren Wynn. Prince of Mischief saying, LOL, I saw best fight odds the other day, and the fight does not go to decision for Kattar Allen, opened up at plus 5,000. I wish I wasn't sleeping so I could have put 3 units on that and hedge for profit. Yeah, that's what you do. When you see a mistake line like that, you just max bet it, and then you just wait for the line to come in, and you arb out, and you take the free money. Whatever free money they want to give you, it's not your job to pass on it. Trust me. My guy, the General, is taking notes in here. We got Antonio Esparza saying, who's a fighter that you're excited to bet on that's coming up a card this year? Mine is Weili Zhang. Dude, I was waiting on Christian Rodriguez actually for a minute after that Jonathan Pierce fight. I'm waiting to, like when Gogo Flamingo said earlier that Makhachev was minus 130 against Volkanovski, I got a little moist. I'm not even joking. I got a little bit moist and excited, and I was going to max bet that. I'm looking to max bet Islam Makhachev the next time out. I'm really interested to see where that Amanda Hebas, Tracy Cortez line comes out. I'm really interested to see where that Darren Elkins versus Jonathan Pierce line comes out for UFC Orlando. But I really need to look at some of these fights because I just kind of looked forward to next week's card, and there's nothing on there that even piques my interest other than I think the Grant Dawson, Mark Madsen fight's going to be a fucking banger. But other than that, there's really not much that interests me. What kind of, I mean, like, I'm going to be looking to slam Anthony Hernandez in his next spot. He's one of my favorite fighters. Love what Anthony Hernandez is doing. Who else? Ricky Simon. You know, I'm going to be looking for a good matchup for Ricky Simon. But yeah, I kind of just take them as they come. And if I see something that looks out of whack, and I feel like I'm unbiased enough to see it both ways. You know, for instance, when I watched the Ultimate Fighter season, I really liked Zach Pauga. But when I saw Zach Pauga open up at minus 240 and Muhammad Usman at plus 200, I was like, well, I'm betting Usman. I don't think he's great, but at plus 200, I'm betting him. And that wound up working out. So it's really all about the lines. But yeah, Weili Zhang looked fucking incredible versus Joanna. And she, you know, I think that she would be a great candidate to put a big bet on in the future because she is looking like she's in her best form right now and that she's really going to do well for your money. Brian is taking notes. We got Brian in here taking notes with the notebook. We got Addicted to Combat saying Olynyk taught Jared the ancient scarfold. Jared is prepared. Yeah, dude, you know, some of us learned that from the Kesagatame position in judo when we were 7 years old, man. The old scarf lock. Just get behind your opponent's head, put that chin right into their chest and make them beg for mercy. It's not something that's supposed to work at high level, but Alexei Oleinik is just one of those crafty grapplers who makes it work, man. We got Usman Anjum saying Hasbullah is a Dagestani wrestler. Yeah, I mean, dude, the guy, I mean, he's like a spider monkey, dude. He can just go all over your body. You don't even know where he's at. So he's tough to deal with. We got Addicted to Combat saying Kattar got finished on the undercard of Kimbo versus Thompson. I still have the Elite XC DVD. Holy shit, really? Oh, so what? Let's go look at that because it was by submission. I know that's the only way that Kattar's ever been finished. So let's see about the card that Patrick is talking about because I know Patrick is about as OG of a combat sports fan as there is. So let's look at this fight that he was at. Let's see. That was a Massachusetts. It was James Jones rear naked choke back in 2008. James Jones, stand up, the only guy to ever finish the Boston finisher. 16-16 journeyman, James Binky Jones. Oh my God, wow. That is incredible. A couple losses to Francisco Esada, a loss to Dan 50K Ige, losses to Mike Bannon, Jeremy Carper, Lester Caslow, Billy Vaughn, a no contest against Nicholas Blezer, Jimmy Hedis, he lost to. Frank Camacho, he lost to. Wow. And then the win against Calvin Kattar. Definitely his best win. Incredible. Wow. That's a huge dig there for Patrick, man. What a call. Fantastic stuff. My guy Dave Bandit checking in from Poland saying, Oi, Weezy, what's up, Dave? Good to see you in here, my man. Always good to have you hanging out. We got Justin Villegas saying, I like how Islam says if UFC real sport, Dariush would get next shot. If UFC was a real sport, it would have been Dariush versus Oliveira first. Yeah, but Dariush got hurt. Dariush was supposed to fight. He had a tune-up for a title, and he broke his ankle. He got that spiral fracture. I forgot who he was supposed to fight before Gamrot. And we're not going to look at it, but yeah, that's not a bad look there. Victor De Jesus saying, I just put one unit at plus 153 on a Marina Rodriguez Calvin Kattar parlay. Christian Rodriguez. I was thinking Marina Rodriguez from next week. I like that, man, because Christian is the best parlay piece of the week, probably. He's a fantastic prospect. It's hard to see this kid losing to anybody but the highest level of guys like a Jonathan Pierce. And he had Pierce in some tough spots in that fight. Justin Villegas saying, want to train to ride Moneytown Duplessis next fight. Michelle Pereira will probably get a winnable matchup, then one that will move him up. Yeah, that'll be a good one, too. I want to see who's next for Dricus. Justin saying, whatever happened to Leon Murphy? Leon Murphy? Who the hell is Leon Murphy? Was he one of the names here? Oh, wow. He also lost to Jim Miller, this guy did. Leon Murphy. You mean Lester Caslow? No, I'm kidding. Let me look. Leon. No results found. I have no idea who Leon Murphy is. Let's see. Dave saying, on my way to work with Weezy in my headphones. There you go, Dave. Have a great day at work, man. Gogo saying, parlay Poirier, Zhang, Blachowicz, Whitaker, and Makachev. That's not bad, dude. Not bad at all. Who does Whitaker have? I forgot who the fight was for Whitaker. This is another card, Fury FC. Not going to be on that card. Yeah, Jan Blachowicz against Magomed Ankalaev. On December 31st. What the hell are they talking? December 31st. Oh, wow. Molly McCann's got Aaron Blanchfield next. Boy, that's a tough road to hoe. Antonio Esparza, I know this is a UFC live stream, but Bellator has a card on Saturday, too. Are you betting those fights? Favorites are chalk over there. I never bet Bellator. Every time I see people talking about betting on Bellator on fucking Twitter. It was a goddamn bloodbath. More bed shitters on the Bellator cards, minus 600 favorites that go out there and just basically look like they're trying to lose fights and they bet on their opponents. Yeah, man. It's just when you're a minus 700 favorite and you can put in your entire show check on your opponent and make 3 times more than what if you actually won the fight. It's a big red flag, and it should lead you to believe that you should probably stay away from those fights. But I do not bet Bellator. Papa Chuck saying, at Justin, there wasn't room for 2 Leons on the UFC roster. Are you talking about Leon Scott? Brian is taking notes. What's up? Justin saying, I've got still unopened Pride videos to use, give out to bars so they can charge to watch UFC fights like the early 2000s, man. Oh, the Pride was the best, man. I love watching Pride, man. At Justin, now that's OG. Yeah. T-Rex saying, Uncle, let's get it. We got Prince saying Drickus is fighting Darren Till. Yes, sir. And we got Sports Fanatic Big saying Laron R. Antonio is saying, I'm shocked Danny Rod is plus money against Magny. Magny looked horrible in his last fight. Thinking of betting that big. Thoughts? Magny's conditioning worries me, and his ability to be able to stay out of boxing exchanges worries me. He does great work in the clinch. He can grind on people. He can make them wear his weight. He can get on their backs. It'd be an interesting type of fight that we haven't seen Daniel Rodriguez fight yet. Daniel Rodriguez has really not fought wrestlers and guys that really try to work and win control time positions. So, and I wasn't impressed by Daniel Rodriguez at all last time. Dude's coming off serious wrist surgery. He didn't even come close to making weight and had to ask for the fight to be moved from 170 to 180. That's a huge red flag. And I thought he lost all 3 rounds against Li Jingliang. So, yeah, I would not bet him. But plus money, it's always the plus money spots that are the most intriguing to me. So I see where you're going there. And if it's a 3-round boxing match, then I think Neil Magny probably loses that fight. Sports Fanatic. You're talking about LaRon Murphy. LaRon Murphy. Yeah, dude, the Miracle. We haven't seen him in forever. So he's had fights called off. So LaRon was supposed to fight Nate Landwehr on March 26th, and it was Murphy who withdrew. And prior to that, man, I mean, it was Makwan Amirkhani at the end of 2021. So, yeah, it's been a year since we've seen him. It's a good question. I don't know what he's waiting for, but he must be hurt because he withdrew in March, and it could have been a serious injury. Blachowicz is a bad pick, says King of NPCs. I mean, Magomed Ankalaev is a tough matchup for anybody. But, you know, Blachowicz is on that level, former champion, so we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I mean, normally if I'm throwing down a 5-leg parlay, I don't want to really put plus money lines in there. But, boy, it fattens up that number, man. Dave saying, I wouldn't bet Blachowicz at this point. Weezy knows why, and yes, I do. My guy Dave gives us great information in the Discord that I have on Uncle Weezy's Patreon. And Dave knows guys in Poland that run mixed martial arts gyms, that rep fighters out there. And whenever Dave tells us that something is going to happen with a Polish fighter, it fucking happens. And Dave let us know that there's a little bit of a thing with Blachowicz and his training partners where the gym that they were all at is kind of like undergoing a change in management and coaching. And most of the fighters have left and Jan has stayed. And the fighters that have left the gym have said that the atmosphere might be a little bit toxic there, and it might not be in Jan's best interest to continue training with this new team. But we will see. Magomed Ankalaev, man, whatever it is that you're doing to get ready for that fight, you better put 100% of yourself into it, because Magomed is a tough out for anybody. Gogo saying parlay Poirier, Zhang, Blachowicz, Whitaker, Makhachev at plus 1050 for 3.5 units. Jan is underrated. Ankalaev's overrated. Sorry, deleted the last comment, but it showed up anyway. Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I love Zhang. Who's Poirier fighting? I forgot. Blachowicz, and I don't even know who Whitaker's fighting either. So I've got to look into that. But Prince of Mischief saying, yeah, D-Rod has one hell of a chin, and Magny is starting to look slow these days. Also, Max dropped him, and so that chin is breaking. Yeah. LaRon Murphy, yes. In Jan I trust, says Gogo Flamingo. Hey, the Polish power, man. King of NPCs says Jan was going to lose by grappling the Rakic before his knee snapped, and he quit so fast to Glover. Yeah, I mean, Rakic, I hope Rakic is back sooner than later. That sucked to see the non-contact injury there for Rakic against Blachowicz. Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. You know, these are fights, and like Gogo Flamingo said, Magomed Ankalaev has looked really good, but also, I mean, like, he's kind of slow. He waits to counter. And the only time we ever saw him in any kind of trouble in any fight, he fucking tapped with 1 second left in the third round. I just don't know how he's going to react should he face any adversity. So we'll see what happens there. Prince of Mischief saying, Weezy, if you owned a sports bar, what would it be called? Well, I would have to really think about that, man. I'm sure that there would be something that I would be an awesome name for it, but I couldn't come up with something like that off the top of my head because it would have to be absolutely perfect. If I was going to sink my money into a sports bar, the name would be everything, and it would have to probably include Weezy in there somewhere. But I don't know. That's a very good question, man. King of NPCs, I see the ground game as a huge problem here. I don't know if you're talking about the Blachowicz fight, but yeah, it might have been something to do with all those leg kicks. Still a fluke, says King of NPCs. Gogo, yeah, King. I respectfully and completely disagree. Good to see you back in action at Gogo Flamingo. Where's your bookie? You get killer lines. That's for sure, man. His bar would be called the Foot in the Fist. I like that. The Foot in the Fist. That is good, man. Prince of Mischief saying Chandler. Okay. Whitaker is fighting Costa. Oh, all right. Those, yeah. See, I like Whitaker there. Definitely like Whitaker there. And Chandler versus Poirier. That's going to be a fucking fun one for sure. Justin Villegas saying, yeah, I think Jan's still good, but damn, we might have to drop Jan a notch in our minds. Stop putting this high bar on him over his opponents now. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think Jan definitely needed a 5-round fight there. If that's a 5-round fight, I don't even think we're having this discussion. But 3-round fights, you know, all you got to do is win one, and the other one just needs to be close, and the judges can do the rest of the work for you. Antonio saying, do I trust Park at minus 265 on FanDuel? He arguably lost to Anders in his last and got KO'd by Hobo Cop. Thoughts on Park's chin? Park's got a great chin. Gregory Rodriguez can crack a chin, but Park is called the Iron Turtle because of his durability. Dude's got a great chin. Ugly Man Joe, very inexperienced, very low-level competition, got beat by Jamie Pickett. So I see why people are going to Jun Yong Park, but I can't lay minus 265 on him. The size is an issue here. The power is an issue here. 7-inch reach disadvantage, 6-inch height disadvantage. Holmes is younger, more powerful, and potentially could just, you shoot it on a takedown and he gets that arm around your neck. He's a very strong guy with a good squeeze. So, yeah, I don't trust Park this week at minus 265. I think Holmes is live to land a big shot, get him in trouble, get him to the ground, and potentially lock up a submission. So we'll see how it goes. But that's a great fight. Looking forward to it. But I have the only bet that I have on that one is the under 2.5 because it opened up at like minus 160. For this card, when all 9 over-unders opened, for some reason, the Holmes Park was the fattest under 2.5 on the entire slate. It was the cheapest priced line that was an under 2.5, and it's middleweights. And Holmes has a 100% finish rate in his wins, so it didn't make any sense for me to pass that up. So I hit the under 2.5 in that one, but that's my only action. Usman saying, did a little snooping, and I'm assuming Laurent was injured because he didn't get back on the pads until October 18th. Hopefully he starts a camp soon. Yeah, I agree too. Hopefully he can get on that London card that's coming up maybe at the beginning of next year, I think. Dana was talking about there being a big fight there, a big title fight there, and potentially that the Hamzat versus Colby fight might be on the London card. So we'll see. He actually got rock bad against Dalcha and dropped by Santos, so I don't think he'll immediately quit at this point, even if he's lacking in heart. We got Prince of Mischief saying, Silva or Jake Paul, Weezy? Does the Spider win on Saturday? Thoughts? I have no thoughts. I don't watch Jake Paul's fights. I think they're all fixed. I wouldn't put my money anywhere near them. So, yeah, would not bet on Anderson Silva, would not bet on Jake Paul, and I won't be watching that fight. But on DraftKings Fantasy, Holmes is the very bottom. Now, if Park doesn't KO him, how do you not make a few lineups with Holmes? Yeah, you put him in there, man. He frees up a bunch of salary. He can help you get to those higher-priced fighters like Christian Rodriguez, like Waldo Cortez Acosta, like Marco Sugerio de Lima, like Park, But yeah, you can get Steve Garcia in there at 7,000. You could get Holmes in there at 6,900. Those are all good spots this week for salary relief for your lineup, and they're guys that have paths of victory. But let's end it there, you guys. We're an hour and 46 minutes in. It's 12:24 in the morning here. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out. We got 28 of you live rocking with me. While you're at it, before you head out, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. My track bets were listed on Just the Tip last night, so go check that out. That's timestamped for you guys. Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is Waldo Cortez Acosta or Jared Vandera. And I will be releasing a greasy four-leg parlay as soon as the rest of these props drop. And we'll see if we can find a way to cash one this week. We've been getting 3 out of 4 of the legs the last 3 weeks. So we got to find all 4 this week and cash one of these. But appreciate you guys hanging out. Not the best card next week, but you guys are the best audience for always hanging out with your Uncle Weezy. I appreciate each and every one of you. God bless each and every one of you. I'm going to go crack a beer, relax, and enjoy a good long night's sleep tonight and start getting ready to get the stats ready for next week for all my Patreon members. Join the Patreon if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next week for UFC Vegas 64. But until then, let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 63. Good night, everybody.